This is a chapter of history that still chills the heart of anyone who reads it. The year was 1905, and right in the center of Paris, a spectacle was staged that drew millions of visitors from across the world. At that time, people called it a human zoo. But today, we recognize it as one of the darkest insults to human dignity. Human zoos were public exhibitions where men, women, and even children were displayed like animals in cages. Most of these people came from colonized regions: Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Latin America, brought to Europe under the control of colonial powers. They were presented as if they were savages, primitive, and inferior to the so-called civilized West. Visitors bought tickets, entered the exhibitions, and observed them just as they would observe exotic animals in a regular zoo. This cruelty was not limited to Paris. From the late 19th century to the early 20th century, such human exhibitions were popular in London, Brussels, Berlin, New York, and even Tokyo. The Paris exhibition of 1905, however, became infamous. There, an entire African village was artificially recreated, and men and women were forced to live and perform their daily lives in front of curious crowds, as if they were not human beings, but rather spectacles of wonder. These exhibitions were not only about entertainment. They were a political and psychological weapon. Colonial powers wanted to instill in the minds of European citizens that our civilization is superior, and that colonized people were backward and therefore needed to be ruled. It was a deliberate attempt to justify colonialism and strengthen racial stereotypes by portraying non-Europeans as primitive and subhuman. Imagine this: a mother sitting with a child in a fabricated village, while strangers pointed at her, laughed, or stared with curiosity. A father forced to endure the humiliation of his culture being turned into a mockery, simply because he belonged to another race and land. This was not just entertainment. It was the destruction of human dignity for thousands of people. Today, these stories remind us of the darkest side of human history. They show us how power, greed, and racism can strip people of their humanity. But they also teach us the importance of remembering history, so that such humiliations are never repeated again. The Paris exhibition of 1905 was more than a photograph in time. It was, and remains, a mirror reflecting how far humanity can fall when it chooses to see other human beings as less than human.